Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into a topic that's sure to energize those of you looking to break into the world of electronics manufacturing.
That's right. We're talking all about how to ace that surface mount technology machine operator interview.
We've got you covered. So let's say you've landed that interview. Congratulations are in order. But before we get ahead of ourselves, what exactly does an SMT machine operator do?
They are the ones working with these super precise machines, the SMT machines, of course, to place tiny electronic components onto circuit
We're
boards.
talking like really tiny, right?
Seriously tiny. We're talking smaller than a grain of pepper in some cases. And these components, they're the brains behind everything. Smartphones, laptops, even medical devices.
Wow, so they're kind of like the unsung heroes of our tech-driven world.
Exactly. And the career guide actually points out that because this technology is evolving so rapidly, the demand for skilled operators, it's through the roof. Great job security and opportunities galore for advancement.
Music to my ears. A career, not just a job. Okay, so you've landed the interview. What's that first question they'll likely throw your way?
Often it's that classic, what motivated you to pursue this career path? It's your time to shine. Show them your passion for electronics, tech in general, or maybe you love detail-oriented work. This is the time to share.
So if you were that kid tinkering with radios or building computers in the basement, tell them.
Absolutely. And a quick tip, tailor your answer to the company. Are they all about medical devices? Connect your passion to their mission. For instance, you could say, I've always been fascinated by technology that improves lives, and contributing to building those life-saving medical devices that would just be incredibly motivating for me.
Showing them you've done your research.
I'm
I love
with
that.
you.
And speaking of tailoring answers, didn't you mention RoleCatcher can lend a hand here?
Oh, for sure. RoleCatcher, it uses AI to analyze that job description, and picks out keywords. What's the company really looking for? You can weave those right into your answers.
Like having a secret decoder ring for the hiring manager's brain. Okay, let's move on to the next question. What's up next on the interview agenda?
They'll often ask about essential skills for the job, like what would you consider the absolute key skills for success as an SMT machine operator? And this is where you hit them with the trifecta technical proficiency with the machines, super meticulous attention to detail, and staying cool under pressure.
Because it's high stakes, right? We're talking about precise, tiny components.
Exactly. And this is where, mentioning specific technical knowledge, it really makes you stand out. Are you familiar with pick-and-place machines, reflow ovens, any industry standard software? Now's the time to mention it.
Sounds like a deep dive into the technical stuff could really impress them. But what about those curveball follow-up questions they love to throw in? Like, describe a time you identified a flaw on a circuit board. How'd you approach it?
Be ready with specific examples. Think of it like telling a mini story. First, set the scene. While working on a batch of boards, I noticed an inconsistency with, say, a resistor placement. Then, how'd you solve it? So I immediately hit pause on production, double-checked the schematics, made sure everything was where it should be, and finally, the resolution. Turns out, the component feeder needed a little adjusting. After recalibrating it, retested the boards, and everything was back to meeting those quality standards. Problem solved.
Structure and confidence. I like it. Makes you stand out.
For sure. Okay, moving on. They'll want to hear about your hands-on experience next. Tell us about your experience with SMT machines and equipment, something along those lines.
Seems pretty straightforward. Just tell them what machines you've used, right?
Right, but don't just list them. Get specific. Mention the actual models, like, I'm very proficient with the ASM E-Series pick-and-place machines, or I have a lot of experience operating and troubleshooting the BTU Paramax reflow oven.
Speak their language. Show them you're fluent in SMT.
Exactly. And even if your experience is a little limited, focus on transferable skills and that eagerness to learn. While I'm mostly worked on older models, I'm a fast learner and I'm super eager to be trained on the latest and greatest equipment.
Turning a potential weakness into a positive nice. Now, RoleCatcher can probably help with tailoring this answer too, right?
You bet. It can scan your resume, see what you've got, and then suggest skills and experiences to highlight, all based on that specific job description. It's a secret weapon.
Okay, I'm sold. So we've got the why this job, essential skills and experience with machines covered. What other interview gems can you share?
Well, they'll probably ask about the challenges of the field, always a good sign. Shows you're thinking critically.
Okay, hit me with it. What's the next question?
They'll want to know, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing SMT machine operators today? This is your chance to prove you're in the loop. You could talk about the growing complexity of the circuit boards, the shrinking component size we've already established, those are tiny, and the need for speed, efficiency, all without sacrificing quality.
It's amazing how much tech they're packing into those small devices.
Right. It's a challenge. To really impress them, talk about how you've adapted your techniques to keep up. For example, you could say, I'm very aware of the challenges those tiny 0105 components bring, and I've really been focusing on improving my hand soldering skills to make sure they're placed perfectly.
Now that's what I call showing, not just telling. You're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
It's all about showing them you're not shying away from those challenges, but you see them as a chance to learn and grow.
Love that attitude. Okay, what's next on the chopping block, interview style?
Question 5, they'll want to know about quality assurance. This is huge in manufacturing. It might be something like, how do you ensure top-notch quality and accuracy in your work? This is where you really want to emphasize your meticulous side. You understand those quality assurance, the QA processes like the back of your hand. Getting it right the first time, that's the name of the game.
So more than just saying, I'm a perfectionist?
Right. It's good to emphasize attention to detail, for sure, but they're looking for how you apply that in the real world, in the manufacturing setting. Did you go above and beyond to make sure a product was top-notch?
Give me an example. What would that sound like?
Let's say you're working on a bunch of boards, and you notice the solder paste printing is a little off, just a tad. You could say, well, I saw that the solder paste thickness on a few boards, it was a little outside the acceptable range, so I flagged it right away. Took a look at the stencil printing parameters, and we made a few tweaks with the process engineer. Being proactive, right? And because of that, we avoided a defect that could have messed up the whole production run.
You're not just focused on your own little tasks. You're thinking about the whole shebang. Problem solving and collaboration, check and check.
Exactly. And speaking of highlighting those strengths, this is where RoleCatcher swoops in to save the day again.
You have my attention. RoleCatcher with the quality assurance questions. Tell me more.
RoleCatcher can actually look at your work history, and it helps you zero in on specific accomplishments that show you're all about that quality. Maybe it reminds you of a time you streamlined a process or found a critical error, or even a time you swooped in with a solution that saved time or resources. It's got your back.
A digital assistant that helps you remember how awesome you are. I love it. Okay, let's get back to that hot seat. What's next?
Next up, they'll want to know you're all about staying ahead of the game. Surface mount technology, it changes so fast. So they might ask, how do you stay updated on all the latest trends in surface mount technology?
Gotta love a lifelong learner, right?
That's exactly what they want to hear. This is where you get to geek out a little. Talk about your favorite industry magazines, SMT Today, Circuits Assembly, you name it.
I bet they'd love to hear about you following industry experts on LinkedIn or joining those online forums too.
You know it.
Yeah.
Shows you're proactive, always hungry for knowledge, and you can even get specific, like, I'm really into the latest 3D printing stuff for electronics manufacturing. I've been following mention a prominent researcher or company super closely.
See, you're not just reading headlines, you're diving deep into what excites you. All right, what's next on our interview question list?
They'll want to know you can handle the heat. Question 7, it's often about working under pressure. It might sound like, how do you manage everything, prioritize your workload, all that when you're facing a tight deadline? And this is important because this role, it's all about hitting those deadlines with precision and efficiency.
So more than just saying, I thrive under pressure.
Right. Show, don't tell. How do you stay organized when those deadlines are looming? Do you use a specific method, the Pomodoro technique maybe? Or are you a digital task master apps for everything? Maybe the good old-fashioned to-do list is your jam. Whatever works for you, share it.
So if you're a Kanban board wizard or a project management app ninja, let them know.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to talk about those unexpected curveballs, those shifting priorities, unexpected challenges. They want to know you can adapt and still deliver A-plus work.
Now, even the best SMT operators, sometimes those machines have a mind of their own. How should our listeners prepare for questions about troubleshooting those tricky situations?
Yes. That's where question 8 usually pops up. What's your process for troubleshooting when those surface mount technology machines decide to act up? And this goes beyond just knowing how things work. It's about your problem-solving superpowers.
Like your Sherlock Holmes of the SMT world.
Exactly. Walk them through your process. What's your first move? Checking the machine's settings against the work instructions. Or maybe you consult the manual or even those online forums we talked about. Do you have a guru you can phone a friend with?
So it's okay to not have every answer memorized, but you've got a system.
Right. And if you can, Think of a time when your quick thinking saved the day. Maybe you noticed a recurring issue with a machine and found a simple fix to stop it from happening again. Those real-world examples really make you shine.
So far, we've covered showing off your passion, those technical skills, problem solving like a champ. What else do we need to touch on as we head into the final round of this interview deep dive? Safety first. We can't forget that, especially with those complex machines in a manufacturing setting.
100%. They'll definitely touch on safety. Question 9, it's often something like, how do you make sure you and your teammates are safe when you're working with these surf and Dell technology machines? And it's not enough to just say, I follow the rules. They're looking for someone who takes it seriously, lives and breathes that safety culture.
So how do you show them you're that proactive safety guru? What would really impress them?
Give them specifics. What do you actually do? Do you check the equipment regularly, making sure there's no wear and tear, anything that could cause an issue? Do you tell your supervisor right away if something seems off, even a little bit? And are you comfortable speaking up if you see a coworker maybe not following those safety protocols? Those are the actions that speak volumes.
Being a leader, creating that safe environment, it's more than just checking boxes. And that's a message that will resonate in an interview.
Okay, we've hammered those interview questions pretty hard, but before we wrap things up, let's circle back to the career guide. What's the trajectory look like for SMT machine operators? Where can this role take you?
Great question. This role, it can really launch you. So you've got some experience under your belt. You could definitely move into a supervisory position, leading a team, managing production, that sort of thing.
Climbing that ladder. But what about someone who's maybe looking beyond the factory floor? The career guide actually mentions some other paths. Maybe you get some additional training, maybe a certification or two, and you could transition into a process engineer role. So you're the one optimizing that whole SMT production line. Or you could become a quality assurance specialist, making sure those final products meet the highest standards.
So the skills you learn as an SMT machine operator, they open a lot of doors.
Totally. And those certifications, they pack a punch. Industry recognized ones, especially the IPC, with the Association Connecting Electronics Industries, that's the gold standard. It shows you're serious, you know your stuff, and you're all about quality.
It's like leveling up. Speaking of leveling up, RoleCatcher can it help with certifications or finding those next career moves.
Absolutely. It can connect you with the right training programs, certifications, all based on your goals. Plus, you can show off those certifications right on your profile. Makes you stand out from the crowd.
It's like having a career coach and cheerleader all in one. I love it. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of surface mount technology machine operators, specifically how to rock that interview. Remember, prep is key. Be passionate, show off those skills, and never underestimate those soft skills, quality, safety, all that good stuff. And if you need a little boost, RoleCatcher is there for you every step of the way. Best of luck with those interviews, everyone.